Welcome back to From Nine to Mom.
Where we discuss balancing the 9 to 5 hustle with the beautiful chaos that we call motherhood. And we're back after a little break. But Katie, today's Jack's birthday. I can't believe how big he is.
I know my little 3-year-old. It's I feel like he's been telling everyone he's 3 for like the past 6 months anyway. But now he woke up this morning and he goes, "I'm finally 3." He was so excited.
That's so cute. And I know he's in daycare now. So how was drop off today with it being his birthday?
Preschool is great. He's done really good. I honestly thought we'd have way more tears. The only tears that have been shed are from me, which is surprising too. But
Kids do something to you
they,
emotionally.
and it's so weird when they get in that environment for the first time and you have no idea like how they're going to react. Like you think you know their personality, but then like it goes completely different when they're around strangers. But first drop off went really good. It was drive-through drop off. So, everyone that knows the carpooling very well, you know what I'm talking about. But I was like, how is my kid going to just get out of the car and walk into this place? Like it didn't make sense to me. And then we got there, he went right in and he didn't look back. He went in, saw the teacher. They distracted him with like name tags and the other kids crying, I think helped Jack a little
Yeah,
bit.
he had to be strong, right?
He had to be strong. And then this morning, like he was fighting me all morning because of course we have cool new toys for the birthday.
Yep.
And I made sure we didn't give him anything new this morning to like make him want to stay home, but he's very obsessed with this Paw Patrol tower right now and was begging me all morning to stay home and play with it. We finally got in the car, like as we're pulling up, I'm like, our turn's next. And he got so excited. He was like, "I'm so excited to see my teacher." And like got out
Oh,
because I was telling, he's like and I've made him this way for anyone that's listened, you know my personality by now. I've made him a scheduled person. Like if he can repeat the schedule to me, I feel like it's helping his confidence level. So he was like, "Mommy's going to drop me off. Mommy's going to pick me up. Then we're going to go here. Then daddy's picking me up." And then like he had the whole day
yeah.
planned. So that's been helpful. But so we were explaining to him, like, you get to bring in a special treat. Like you got to help, the teacher hand out your treat. And thanks to everyone that suggested some stuff for what we could bring in because it's a nut-free school,
And we're going to share that list. I know we talked
yeah,
about it because all of us are in the same boat there, but
yeah, you don't even
you
think
did
unless
Oreos,
your
right?
kids have it. Yeah, so we brought in Oreos and then I was going to bring in the individual packaged ones, but that would be really hard on the teacher, so hopefully she like appreciates that. I brought in just a big pack of double stuffed with some cute napkins. So he was excited. They had his birthday crown like ready to go for him when he walked in today, so he was really excited.
I think that birthdays at school, just like I'm a birthday person, so I like birthdays at work, but
Yep.
birthdays at school are so fun and exciting for kids. So this will probably being his first week at school. What a
Yeah.
good memory. It'll be a good start to the
Yeah.
rest of the year.
Yeah, he'll be Mr. Popular today with Oreos as the
Oh,
snack because they
yeah.
had goldfish on Tuesday, so this is way better.
Cool kid. Cool
I
kid.
know. But it is crazy, like, with him getting older, like, him arguing with me, like, not arguing, but, like, him getting that personality. Like, this morning, he gets so, like, "I wanna do this." Like, "I just wanna say, 'Here, mommy,' and play." And I'm like, "Well, duh, I do too, but, like, we have to go to school and I have to go to work." Like
And it's so hard to explain that to kids. I
yeah.
feel like as they get their personalities and they get that cognitive capability to understand and put
Yeah.
pieces together, it does change how you parent. And I know that's something that we've been talking a lot about, and we're going to talk a little bit about today because both
Mhm.
of us are going through different changes with our kids, right?
Yeah.
We have two kids now instead of one. I have a kindergartner who's now experiencing all this growth. You have a 3-year-old who is talking, potty trained, going to
Right.
preschool, changing the whole vibe, and our babies aren't
Right.
babies anymore.
That's so sad.
So the emotions that they're going through and all the things, I've been down a path
I
lately
know.
with
I know. And we need to get into it because I feel like we're heading that way, but it's like it puts you in a different perspective when you're a working parent. So like this morning, he's telling me he's begging me to stay home and do that. And like, I'm ready to give you anything to just get in the freaking car.
yeah,
Like, I don't want to
go.
go either, buddy, but like, okay, do you want food? Whatever it is, like you're looking to like just give him that thing to get him into the car. And it's like, that could be creating a bad habit. Like now I
It
have to
becomes
give
an
him
expectation.
right, like he's supposed to get a treat every morning to get in the car. So I've been trying not to, but like I'm like, we gotta go. Let's go.
This is every morning in our house.
Yeah.
And Colton if you guys remember, wanted to be a boring human. So he's not the swiftest mover. And he does like routine. But I was, of course, TikToking, and someone said to help your kids in the morning, make it as easy as possible. Have a little bin that has their clothes, their toothbrush, have it in the wherever you are while you get ready. So
Yep.
we've been doing the system where I lay out his clothes for the week every day, but he moves faster if I help him get dressed. I should not be helping him get dressed anymore, but I do it because I'm like, we have to go. Like, you're now in school. You can't be late.
Right.
So we're rushing that. Then we go downstairs. The toothbrush is ready with the toothpaste on. It's still a fight. Then he needs to have a snack. Sometimes there's tears if we don't get a TV moment or a book
Right.
for in the morning. And it's so frustrating because you do end up giving in here and there. But then the routine that you're talking about, whether you're a routine person or not, kids need routine.
Yeah.
I've learned that. And it can be a looser routine. It doesn't have to be perfect, but they
Yeah.
do thrive when they know what's expected of them.
Right.
And I feel like that does mess up the routine, or it adds something to the routine that they expect. It's like, that's not the routine. I did everything you said. Now I need a snack or I need a treat.
Like, what the hell?
You screwed me
can't
up.
derive from that. Yeah. And I think something that me and you have been talking about too is like, I'm starting to see with Jack, this is only day 2. You've already been back to school for over a month, but like the amount of transitions Jack now has to have in a day, like he's going to preschool. We had to turn that off. Then he's going to the babysitter. Got to get there, do like multiple drop-offs. It's like so hard to get them into all those spots, then to get them home and get back on those rules. And I know that's something Colton's been struggling with too.
Yeah, I think that when you work your daycare or school, it's not built around the 9 to 5 workday. So he's going to school at 7. He has to be there between 7:05 and 7:35. Then at 2:00, he gets let out. He gets on a bus. He goes to daycare. Then me or Jordan picks him up. And then he usually has a sport or an after school activity. By the time we get home, it's 6:00, 6:30, sometimes later. Now we're trying to do our dinner routine, bedtime routine. The kid's exhausted, but also he never fully gets to get into what's next because he's still in that transition phase. And I've noticed, and as a result, I mean, I'll just be very transparent because I think that's why we started this podcast, is to ask questions and talk to each other. Colton's a very kind, calm kid. He loves art. He loves cuddly animals. He's a sweet, sweet boy. But over the last 6 months, as I think he's growing a lot mentally. And he is an absolute angel everywhere he goes. But when he gets home, it's those TikToks and parenting things you see, he feels comfortable and he loses his ever loving mind over absolutely nothing. It's a tailspin and it's exhausting because we'll talk a little bit because we both did quizzes, but parenting styles, my parenting style and Jordan's parenting style are different. And we're trying to build that together and how we want it to look. We also have Daisy, who's a very needy, almost 2-year-old, 18-month-old, right? Yeah. And these meltdowns they are so overwhelming and exhausting for his mind and body. And then also for my mind and everyone else's mind there, that I had no choice but to start looking. And I thought, hey, I have ADD. Jordan has ADHD. Maybe he has ADD. So took him to the doctor. Does he have ADD? This seems... he's presenting it more as I did as a child. And then they're like, no, we don't think he has ADD. We can't diagnose yet, but we don't think that's it. How about you go to OT, right? Let's do some behavioral therapy to work with emotions. And then I feel like maybe it's my fault because I'm very open about emotions. I feel like boys especially, they get told that they can't have feelings. Still don't like to cry. I still feel there's no crying in baseball. There's no crying in business. There's no vulnerability was not a thing when we were growing up, especially for boys. And I don't want, and I think that causes repression, could cause anger issues, depression. So I want to talk about his feelings and he's aware. So be like, mommy, I'm just so frustrated. I can't stop thinking about it. My body it won't let me stop. He's very vocal. So we go to the OT therapy. He sits there like a perfect angel the entire time doing
it's like nothing's
art.
wrong.
And I'm answering the questions. He's like, yes, yeah, that happens. And she's like, this is going to be a really quick fix. Mind you, the next day I'm in tears. Jordan's in a corner shaking because he had this momentary outburst over the chicken the one piece of chicken had a piece of skin on it. Right?
Oh my God.
And it's
It's not
exhausting.
funny, but it's like
It
it's
is.
if you don't laugh, you're
And we're
crying,
not
so
alone. I called my girlfriend last night. I had to sneak out of my house. Colton was having,
yeah.
one of his moments. Daisy was crying because I was leaving. And I call her and I said, "What are you doing?" She goes, "I'm laying on the floor on an infrared mat. I can't handle today. I had the kids alone all day. Ben just got home. He's putting the kids in the bath. Can you hear that?" And all I hear is screaming.
Screaming.
And
Yeah.
she's laying on this infrared mat. She's like, I need to find some sanity. Like, I don't know how people do it. But I think we're all in
Seriously
that
though,
boat.
it is. And it all comes and goes with like different waves of that. Like we're going to be on to the next thing before we know it. Like I feel like I was just so hung up on potty training and like
Yep.
he's never going to do like, and then you get to the next thing and you're like, no, this is the hardest thing. And you just keep doing that. And like maybe that just goes on for the rest of our lives till we die. Right. Like
I
we just
do
keep,
actually think it does because my mom will
then
even
it's the
say,
grandkids.
"Your brother called me and oh my God, this is happening," or "You have this." I just can't. And it's so
It
much
is right.
to handle. And I think that there's so much information out there now because of social media, because
Yeah.
of YouTube, all that stuff. But sometimes it's overwhelming to try and
Right.
figure out. I mean, but you and I were looking up parenting quizzes and I took two, you took one. None of them were the same.
No, and they're all like, I don't know, like some of them are like not realistic. Like, I don't know. It's like weird to take them and like think about because then you're taking it as the parent you want to be, right?
Yes.
You're not like answering real questions about like, are you like, did you scream at your child today?
Yes, I
Like
want
that's the
someone to
kind of
videotape
things.
me and then say, "This
And
is
then
what's
go
actually going on." Because
that's what therapists should be doing is like taking
yes.
recordings from your home. Well, so I think the one thing though that we saw across all of them is that there were like four major categories
Yes.
of parenting styles. So there's the authoritarian. I can't
Authoritarian,
talk. Authoritarian. I
then
can't talk. Oh my
authoritative.
god.
Their two words are
I'll
so
have to crap
similar.
me out saying that. Authoritative.
No, we're gonna keep it.
And then permissive. This one says like neglectful, but I don't think anyone wants to fall into that. I mean, no one falls into that category, I would
No.
think. You'd have to be a really
People
bad
are
parent.
permissive. It just means you give in because you're trying to avoid the conflict. It doesn't mean
Right.
you're neglectful. And that's the
Right.
other thing about these parenting styles that you take them and you get
You're like, of
permissive and
course I don't want to give in and do all that, but like,
if you do, you do.
Did I give him gummies to get him in the car? Yes. Like you
It
did, but like
happens.
that's not the parent I would tell people I am, but like you just sometimes you're trying to get things done and you're trying to move so quickly, but you don't realize how it is. And I think it's important. I actually do think we need to make one that's like a working mom parenting style because some of the questions I'm like, I don't know, like my babysitter does that.
That's so true. So you're looking at it and you're taking these questions, you're like, I have no idea. And that's the other thing. The kids are different with their
Yeah.
babysitters. So then you're like, what are you doing? What's going on here? And it's not that it's not that my kids are bad. I don't want to make it sound like they're bad, but they're kids and they have
Right.
moments and we have
Right.
moments as adults. So taking that quiz, you and I both fell into the authoritative, which is balanced.
Right.
So I took two quizzes, balanced meaning we balance between knowing, and it sounds like it's the best one, but I think it's probably because we do this at work with people too.
It's because we're so all over though. It's like
Yes.
we can mold into either one. We're not the super strict ones,
Yes.
but we're not the one that's like, sure, yeah, let's go
Do everything you
to the
want to
candy
do.
store.
And I think, like you said, at moments, I've been both parents. And I think the example from last night, Colton gets a sweet. We have 3 rules at the dinner table that we're trying to enact to make this easier.
Yeah.
And he followed all 3 rules, so he should get his sweet. But then he started doing something and he said, if you do it again, buddy, no sweet. And he was sobbing because he didn't get his sweet. And it broke my soul because
just want to give him a sweet.
I do. I want him to be happy.
Yeah. Enjoy his time at home, right? Like that's
and I don't want to hear the crying. So a lot of times we get permissive because we just can't handle it, but I had to stand firm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it sucked. So that's what balance is. But I know that there's different dynamics. You and Ryan are more similar in your parenting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's going to change as the kids age, but I think we're also at the point where, and I don't know where this like piece is going to happen. And now that maybe Jackson's school will have to get more like that, because I don't want him having bad behavior at school. Not that I'm worried about any of that, but like if he knows that mom and dad give in after I do this, like, is he going to go repeat that at school when he's told no? Or is he going to be, does he understand the authority of the teacher and that? And so you're trying to teach him, but up until like now, like both of them have just been too little to like even
Yes.
understand. Like right now, Cal's in his like, getting into toddler stage. We're approaching 18 months. So he's like, he can throw a tantrum when he's told no, but like, is he still jumping on the couch and falling off? Yes. And we'll tell him no, but like, we're at the point where he does something and then Jack does it. The both of them are doing it, but we know Jack knows no. So we'll tell him no. And Jack will stand there and wait for us to punish Kelvin. And Cal will laugh. And he's like, wait, why aren't you punishing him? Like, he's doing the thing that you just yelled at me for. So get him off the couch. So like, I try to keep it even across both of them, but I do try to explain to Jack, like, Calvin's just a baby. He doesn't know. Like, we need to teach him. Like, I need you to help me teach him like that's not allowed or that. But when does their brain comprehend that? Because half the time Ryan and I are like pissing our pants laughing at the stuff they're doing still, because they don't know, like they don't know what they're doing is silly. And like, or like when Jack talks back to us, like my instinct's to laugh, because I'm usually so like, even if Ryan and I argue, I'm always the one that's just like, are we serious? Like, is this what we're arguing about? Like, it's not real. Like I always am like, I like laugh things off. And if you do that with the kids, like he thinks it's funny and encouraging. So he keeps going. So now I like always hide myself and like try to, whatever. But it's also weird with two boys, because sometimes we get to the point where Jack will hit.
Yes.
And Ryan's like, I'm going to throw down the law. Like, you don't touch your mother ever in this house. Like, if we're going to be a house of all boys, nobody's putting hands on mom. Like, even if it's a 3-year-old and he's just,
Jordan's been the same way.
he doesn't know how to. Yeah. So it's just, when does their brain understand that I can start upholding the rules? And it's like, we're getting there with Jack, but sometimes you just are like, I got to laugh this one off. I don't know.
Well, and you think about, and this is not male bashing at all. Let's talk about boys versus girls for a second. It is scientifically proven that boys' brains work differently and develop at a different rate than females' brains. So there's already that complication with two boys, but also just kids in general. We expect them to be rational, but they are not rational. We sometimes aren't rational. So how do we expect them to be rational? But also they need to be decent human beings, like kind human beings that follow the rules. So Colton School actually, and I have them here and I'll post them. So I ordered them on Amazon, but I am reading this one first. It's called The Whole Brain Child. It was written by they're both doctors of I don't know if it's psychology. What's the
so
you know what I'm talking
like
about?
A social work.
It's two
or like
no, they're they're MDs, but
a psychiatrist.
Maybe that's the word I'm looking for, like an MD and a PhD, but they basically study and they have kids. So they're studying the child's developing mind. And I've already started, I've written some notes already. And it talks about the left brain and the right brain and parenting your child, and in terms of how their brains mirror your brains. They start to do what you do, but understanding, like you said, when can they cognitively understand what's actually happening? So reading this is giving me some of those tips. And then there's a follow-up book that I haven't started yet, but it's called No Drama Discipline. And it's a discipline approach based off of the development of kids' brains. And it was on the website for Colton School. So reading this so far has been very helpful. It's a New York Times bestseller, but essentially just looking at it I like facts. If I can work in facts, I'm definitely an emotional person. But if I can,
you're the researcher, right? Like your first thing here was like, I need some education on how I can better be there for him, which is totally different from me. But
what would you do?
Honestly, I've been thinking about it. I'm like, because it is funny how like your first instinct is to like, I need to research, or like I need to read more and I need to understand. I honestly don't know what, like maybe just look online. I would probably try to like do research online and try to figure something out. Or unfortunately, like Ryan's in his glory that I'm about to even say this, but like Ryan's kind of been trained in some of this. Like he's taken classes with some of these things, but we've talked a lot about how is he going to be able to implement that with his own kids? It's way different. like any teachers you ask like that, or childcare work or anything, you know the book, but then like adapting that to your own kids because you think about it so much on how you're doing it every day. But it's just
And I know
like
some teachers leave the profession when they have kids because they're like, I
it's too
can't
much.
parent these children and my children. It's
I
too
I
difficult.
can't wait till I hope we're still doing podcasts. Hopefully podcasting's relevant in like 5 years when Jack is the age that Ryan
Same.
teaches, because I think it will be hilarious to hear about Ryan being at school all day with the kids that are exactly Jack's age and then come home and have another kid that age at
I
home and
know.
you're just
And
he's going to go
Ryan's the
insane.
cool teacher right now, too. So in
Right.
5 years, will he still be the cool teacher? Will there be a
He's
new
going to be the
cool
grumpy old
male
man.
teacher? Well, I'll tell you, Colton's teacher is the only boy teacher for kindergarten, and he's the cool teacher. And he's
Oh
like
yeah.
20 years teaching
Oh
still,
yeah.
but he's still the coolest teacher on the block because he's the
Yep.
guy teacher. He's
Yep.
fun but firm.
Yep.
So I think that he will still be cool, and it will be hilarious to see how they'll probably they'll go to the school, right? So he'll be in Ryan's
No,
school.
different school. We'll make sure of
Oh,
it. Yeah.
okay. That makes sense.
He definitely does not want that. He's like, there's no way I can be at the, I think he has the option that we could send them there. Like we could opt to do that, but
Because
we're
he's
not
a
in that
teacher.
district. Yeah. So yeah, that would be weird. I feel like that would be really weird.
But that is interesting that you say that about Ryan, though, because he's schooled in it. So you kind of rely on him as the resource. So you can follow along and then follow up on, like you're saying, social media.
Let him take the lead and then try to,
Where I'm like, I need a scientist to tell me, like, I really want to know the facts, because I also feel, and I feel bad for Jordan sometimes, because I am such a facts person that it's really like, if you want to get in a debate with me,
you're going to bring the receipts.
I'm going to bring the heat. Okay. I'm going to bring the receipts. They're going to be there. So I'm like, okay, let's flip to page. Actually, did you read the chapter? Like, and Jordan hates reading.
He's like, what research. There's no homework, Danielle. Just give me the
like, you did my homework back when we were in high
relate to
school.
Jordan in this part, because I would be the same way, but Ryan would be the reader, and the, like, if it was something like that, he would be the fact, like he would need the facts, but Ryan would also bullshit until I could call him out.
I feel like I'm the same. I'm not gonna lie. Like me and Ryan,
you'll make it up as you go.
Yeah. Like I'll use facts, but then I'll sprinkle in some shit to make it sound even cooler.
Yeah.
And Jordan will call me out. But I think that that's the importance of having like the balance, because book smart, like reading all the books, doing all the things, it gives you strategies and tools, but the implementation is never the same as what you read. Oh, it's not perfect. But then on the other hand, if you don't do any research, you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants. So I think that the two together make a good combination. Absolutely. And I think that that's another thing for anybody listening that is getting to the age where like your kids are 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine the teenage years are in 10 years, if podcasting still relevant, we may both have like bags under our eyes the size like of.
It's going to be rough.
It's going to be a lot. But that's a whole nother ballgame. But your parenting styles, this is the one thing I wish that Jordan and I did before we had kids, and we didn't.
Yeah.
I wish we sat down and said, okay, and I think we're going to do this and implement this now. So if you guys have done this, please tell us success stories, failure stories. We want to know the truth. I think we need to sit down and set values for our family, like our 5 core values. Like this is who we are. The Henderson household.
You're going to do a marketing strategy for the family.
I'm going to do the entrepreneurial operating system for my household. I really believe so. Like here's our core values. Here's our mission statement.
You're the visionary, and
Jordan.
Only if you guys know this, it would be funny. But
if you're in business, it is actually a cool system. But we've been doing it for 2 years, and sometimes it's exhausting. But that's exactly what's going to happen at my household, because, like you said, routine. If kids know, but also if parents know. So sometimes I'm yelling at Jordan, "I don't want you to do that," and he's like, "Danielle, you can't do that." Like it's not a united front.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in the past, parents would take like one person's a disciplinarian and the other person is like good cop, bad cop.
Right.
I don't think that works in a 2-parent working household, because it like usually if you think about it, the male was the authoritarian, right? Or like they're they come home from work and they're your mother told me you
Well,
did
I was gonna
this.
say that's really where it was though, is like, moms were home more often and they were the ones setting a lot of the groundwork.
But now dads are home just as much as moms. We're doing it
Yeah,
together. So if you don't have that, like, it can't be
right.
good cop, bad cop. It has to
I
be,
know.
we're a partner. We're like the
Yeah.
partner cops or
Yeah,
whatever. And we're not even cops.
I
But
know.
if you aren't the same, which most people opposites attract, there's things like
Yeah,
that are similar. But if you don't have that conversation beforehand, you go into it blind. Like
I know.
I went into this blind, right? Like I didn't know what it was going
Said,
to be like.
yeah, well, you're just like, fuck it, have
So I
kids.
think
Let's
we're
do
gonna
it.
do, yeah, let's do this great.
Everyone can do it. We can do
You
it.
know, my mom did it, her mom did it, people on the street do it. We're
It is
good.
so funny to think about that though, because then it's like, did our parents ever talk about parenting styles and that? No, there's no way. They didn't give
No.
two shits.
Because
They were
think
like,
about
let's
it.
school discipline them, or like,
There
let,
was no, like, they grew
no,
up in the era where it was like, I've been watching all these documentaries, like beat your kids into submission. Like that was like a tactic, remember?
I
Like it
know.
was like, that's how you raise good kids, is to
Ryan's still
get,
scared of his dad.
I know.
Like,
It's
and
so
he's
crazy.
62 or 3, and Ryan's like, I'm still scared that he could kick my ass. Like,
And there's a pride factor. His dad's
right,
probably like, yeah, I
right.
would kick your ass.
It's
But
hilarious because that's what Ryan's wants to be, but he's like, it's just so different now. Like we joke of like, with, like I was just saying with Jack, like hitting mom, like you can't do that. Like Jack repeats stuff and you don't know what
oh,
the kids are going to repeat. And then Ryan being on the school side of it, he's like, I have to report anything. Like it's my job. Like I literally like signed saying I would be a report. Like I'm a mandated reporter. So anything I hear, I have to
that's
report.
what's so scary, because I've heard of people
Right.
who haven't hurt their children. Like something fell on, like one of them I know pulled a stocking, their kid pulled a stocking and the stocking holder fell on their kid. They had to
Yep.
take
And
him to
they're,
the hospital, obviously. And they were in while their kid's in the hospital, 2 hours of interrogation by CPS.
I do
You can't do
remember.
anything.
I remember when I was in early high school, I broke my hand during sports and
Mm-hmm.
I was in the hospital and they came and asked me questions. They like, because my dad took me and
Oh.
they found a way to separate us and they asked me, they were like, is everything okay at home? Like you're allowed to tell us, like,
And I think that's
you know,
important. You have to protect kids.
it's
Like
just
that's
so
so
scary when
important.
you're the
But
parent now because
yes,
you're
and you
like,
know
what's
you
my
didn't
kid
do
gonna say?
anything.
Like, does my kid like understand? They don't understand. You
I
just don't know what they
remember my
say.
parents got a call from school for David in
Mm-hmm.
third grade because we lied to him. Mind you, I never smoked pot as a kid. My parents didn't smoke pot when we were kids. But he heard what a pothead was,
Oh my God.
and we like explained it to him like, "Oh yeah, Dave, we're all potheads." Ha ha ha, like being
Right.
idiots at the dinner table. He went to school, told his parents or his teachers
Teacher. Mm-hmm.
that his parents and siblings were all potheads, and they called home and they did like a wellness check because they think we're all smoking doobies like in the basement together. Mind you, I hadn't even seen weed at this point. The first time I saw weed, I called my mom to pick me up from the party. So no potheads there. Times have changed for some people in my family, but
It's hilarious though. It's just, yeah, you don't ever know what's going to be said, so it's very very scary. But
yeah, I think
um
that there's so much we could get deep dive into. And this is definitely a topic I would love to have professionals come on and talk about and maybe like
yeah,
walk us through some good ideas. Because I just sometimes feel very inundated with info. And
I
then I
know.
also feel guilty, until I talk to somebody else. I'm like, oh, that's normal at my house
Oh,
too.
yeah, right. And then it makes you feel better in the
Yeah.
bunch. Well, we have an exciting week coming up. I'm going to be coming down
Same.
to spend some time at the Henderson Hotel
I'm
next
very
week.
excited.
I know.
We're going to be celebrating, believe it or not, guys, our 1 year anniversary of this podcast. So that's the reason for our special time together.
We're going
I'm
to
so
have
excited.
a lot of fun, record a podcast together. So that'll be something for next week. But I think right now it's about time for us to clock out and clock
And
back
clock
in
back
a minute.
in.
We'll see you guys
See you
next
next
time.
week. Bye.